Welcome. Shavua Tov K'Tavoch. We start a new week, a new Torah portion. Ki Savo, Part 1. Chumash and Rashi. We are in the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 26, verse number 1. And we begin this with the mitzvah of Bikurim, first fruits that you give as a thanksgiving to Hashem from your crop, from your produce that you bring to Jerusalem. Okay, let's get right into it. And it will be when it come to pass, when it will be Kisov El Haaretz, when you come to the land. Asher Hashem Elokecha Nosen Locha Nachala, that Hashem, your God, is giving to you as an inheritance. Again, right? Bringing that notion over and over again, coming into land that Hashem, your God, is giving to you as an inheritance. Why is it so often being said? You know why? Because so few people are comfortable in saying it. So God's got to come tell us the G word. I gave you the land. The land doesn't belong to you because Abraham walked on the land, and because Isaac, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and the prophets walked on the land, and the Jewish people have been there for, from over 3,000 years. That's not why. It's because I give you the land. And if you've noticed, there has not been one leader in Israel that has ever said that.
Why are they afraid to say that?
I guess it's too messianic. Mashiach will come, I think.
See it, I get it done.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll come Verishta, and you will possess the land of Yeshavta, and you will settle in the land. So Rashi picks up on that. When you're going to come, what is it called to come? Right, the terminology over here. What does it mean to come? Means when you take possession and settle it. Magid, this tells us that this law that we're coming to now of Bikurim, of the first fruits, that you're only obliged when you first conquer the land, and you divided the land and gave it to the tribes, and that's when you become obligated. Amazing sichon, actually many sichos on this, but we're not going to do that now. Okay, so what's going to happen when you come and you will conquer and divide the land? Next verse, the lakach mereshis, and you will take from the first, kol priyetz adama, all of the fruit of the ground. Asher tovi mi'artzecha, that you will bring from your land. Asher Hashem Elokecha nosen lach, again saying that Hashem your God is giving to you, right? Not that your forefathers gave to you, not that because you have a history there, it gave it to you, because God gave it to you. Second verse, one after the other, repeating the same thing. And Rashi doesn't pick up on it, because he knows that we're deaf to it. and that's just a repetition, so we should get it through our, yeah. All right. I think that what we need to do is every Israeli has to learn Chumash Rashi. Yeah, I mean every Jew has to.
Exactly.
Right. We have an obligation. And for that matter, every non-Jew should also. Yeah. Okay, so you should take from the first of your fruits of the land that Hashem, your God, is giving to you. And you should place it in a tena, as a basket. And you should go to the place that Hashem has chosen. Hashem, your God, has chosen to have his name dwell there. Right? What is that place? Yeah. The truth is, it's not just the Beis Hamikdash because 369 years it was in Shiloh, right? There was it was there. So where God will choose, so He chose. He has a final destination. It doesn't say final destination over here, right? Where God will rest His presence, which is Jerusalem, because there was in the interim. Okay, let's see Rashi now in 2. Reishis, it's from the first, of the first. In others, Velul kol Reishis, not the entire first. What does that mean? She'ein kol ha'peiros chayavim bikurim, because not all fruits are obligated in the first fruits. Elishivas meaning bilvad, but only the 7 species alone are obligated. V'nemar kan eretz. How do we know that? Because it says here eretz, it says here land, right, in the form of the word artzacha, and nemar lahalan, and it says above, eretz chita sa'ira, and that the land is a land of wheat, barley, and it goes through the 7, right, pomegranate, figs, olives, grapes, right, so it goes through all of them, and it says there eretz, what kind of land it is, that it's 7 species, which the land of Israel is praised. So Afkan, so here too it means that when you're obligated to take from the first fruits, from the first, not all fruits of the first, right? It means those that the land of Israel is praised for. Afkan, so you're doing right. Shehem Shivas, meaning that it's only the 7 species we're talking about. Zayis shemen, olive oils, Zayis agure olive, Shishamne algur b'seiche, because the oil is collected inside of it, udvash and honey, udvash tamarim, which is the honey of dates. Interesting that he brings out those 2 in particular. I guess because honey, you might think that was meant bee honey. No, but it means the 6 species, right? Therefore, there'd be only 6 species, not 7. You know what I mean? It's honey from dates. I mean, I think he's already mentioned that before, but okay, fine. Okay, next Rashi Mireishis. Mi Reishis of the first. Adam Sadeo. So he explains how do you do this? A person goes into the field, but he sees a fig that has begun to ripen. He wraps a reed around a grass around this first fruit. L'siman is a sign. And he says, he consecrates him by saying, "This is bikurim." Got it? Huh? Verse number 2, the second Rashi, right? He goes into the field. He sees that there's a ripening of a fig, for example. He takes a reed of grass, wraps it around it as a sign, and he says, "This is bikurim. This is first fruit," so it becomes consecrated now. Just like that. Yeah. Words are powerful. Okay, verse number 3. And you should come to the kohen. Come to the kohen. There will be in those days. And you'll say to him, to the kohen, I have come today to Hashem your God. Why your God, not my God? Huh. For I've come to the land that Hashem swore to our forefathers to give us, that God swore to our forefathers to give us, right? Again, even our forefathers, it's not because they trod on the land, it's because God promised them to give it, right? So another, fetch on that. Number 3, Asher that will be in those days. What do you mean the kohen that will be in those days? Well, and obviously, what other days would it be, right? So what is it saying? Ein lachai ala kohen shebiyamecha. You only have the kohen in your days, k'may as he is. One second. Because we're okay, so Rashi is explaining. I had the question of why does it say Hashem your God? What do you mean? It's our God, right? So meaning your God because you are a kohen who exemplifies God. So meaning you're exalted. Kohen is, right? He's the one who's doing the divine service. So you might think based on that therefore it's only an exalted kohen, like a top-notch kohen. But what if he's not? So then you're not going to give to him the first fruits. That's what it says, who will be in your days. In other words, no, don't think that way. Even if he's not this exalted kohen, he's a top-notch kohen, still you got to give it to him.
But is he addressing the Kohen here?
Huh? What?
He isn't addressing the Kohen.
Yes, he's addressing the kohen. He's addressing the kohen. Yeah. And you should come to the kohen who will be serving in those days and say to him.
But it's not your God.
I just explained that. That's expressing his exaltedness as a kohen, right? Because he's serving. He's doing the service. That's why it doesn't mean that he's not my God too, but he's kind of exalting, the exaltedness of the kohen, that he's your God because you're the one serving him with these fruits, in that respect. So you might think then, but that's only because he's a very special kind of kohen. Yeah, but what if this guy who I'm coming to is not? So then I'm not going to say this. No, because it says in your days. In other words, as he is in your days, he may not be like in previous generations, like they always say, back in the day, the previous generation, the generation who fought in the Second World War, those were real people. They're real men. Today, men, not real men anymore, right? And so on. And we'll go off on that one. Yeah, we're not going to go off on that one because, yeah. Okay, and you shall say to him, to show that you're not unappreciative. I mean, why do you have to say you'll say to him? Wow. So what are you saying? You're saying to him, what are you saying? If you got it, and you'll say to him, I came today to Hashem Elokecha, I've come to the land that he's. In others, you have to, don't be, wow, don't be an ingrate for all that as Hashem has done to you. So you have to verbally say it to him, right? You're verbally saying it to the kohen, saying what God has done for you. That he swore to give this land to our forefathers to give to us.
There's a note here that says it is obvious that this person is not informing the priest that has come to the land. There's a note here that says,
go ahead.
It is obvious that this person is not informing the priest that has come to the land. For the priest can see that with his own eyes. Rather, he is declaring that he recognizes the privilege of dwelling in the land and is grateful to Hashem for that privilege.
Yeah, that's why I just said. That's what Rashi says. Yeah. You say today. What do you mean today? Obviously today. When are you going to say it? Meaning today, not tomorrow. Rashi said, "Pamachas b'shana." You can only do this one time a year, but lo shtei pamim, not two times. You make this declaration, right? Until you're bringing more fruits later at the end of the year, or another time you're bringing more. The declaration is only said one time. And the kohen will take the basket from your hand, and he will place it before the altar of Hashem, your God. Interesting. Not our God, but your God, right? So the kohen is now bringing it back to the person. The person who's bringing is giving it to the kohen, like he's thinking about that it's his God, right? And now the verse is telling us that he's going to take it, the kohen, and for your God, right? Sort of like each one giving it back to each other. Number 4, the kohen will take the basket from his hand, to wave it. Kohen places his hand underneath the hands of the owner of the fruit, and and he waves it. Right, he waves it, go back and forth like this, and up, right? That's what it means. And and he shall then respond and say, before Hashem your God, Arami Oividavi, the Aramean is referring to referring to Lavan. Lavan, who was the father-in-law of Leah and Rachel, right? That he, the father-in-law of Yaakov. Thank you. Yes, the father of Rachel and Leah. He's Ovid Ovi. He wanted to destroy my forefather, and we went down to Egypt, and we sojourned there for a little time. And we became there a great nation. Numerous. Mighty. Atzum is mighty, and Verav and numerous. By the way, do you know where we say this? Does it sound familiar? Anybody? In the Haggadah of Pesach, we say this. It's in the Parsha here, but we say it in the Haggadah. Rashi. Va'anisa, and you shall respond. Rashi is our Lashon Aramas Koil, means a loud voice. You have to say this, raising your voice. Okay. Next. Rami Ovid the Aramean, who destroyed my father. You're mentioning the kindness of God. Rami Ovid that the Aramean, right? He wanted to destroy my father, meaning Lavan Bikish Lakar Zakil. Lavan, he sought to eradicate everything, right? He wanted to destroy the family. God came to him and said, not to, right? When he chased after Yaakov, and Yaakov left, right, without saying anything. Because he's thought and planned to do this. Hashem considered it that he did it. For the nations of the world, that he considers their wicked thought as an action. In other words, he only thought to do it. God didn't allow him, right? But that thought itself, it's considered, because the verse is saying that he wanted to destroy. It's considered as if he, did destroy, or at least, and yeah. And he descended to Egypt. And still others, they came to annihilate us after the encounter of Lavan. Yaakov went down to Egypt. Few in number. B'shivim Nophish was 70. Right, that's how we went down, and then we became a strong, mighty, and numerous nation. This mamish Haggadah. Actually, it's not mamish Haggadah. It's mamish this week's parsha. That's in the Haggadah. Most people would recognize these words from the Haggadah. right? Here we read it, one time a year, and the Haggadah we read it 2 nights. Plus, it makes more of an impression because it's part of the Haggadah. The Mitzrayim and the Egyptians treated us cruelly, Yanunu, and they afflicted us, and they imposed upon us harsh labor. And we cried out to Hashem, the God of our forefathers. Yishma Hashem and Hashem heard our voice. And he saw our affliction, and our toil, and our oppression. And Hashem, he took us out of Egypt. With a strong hand, it was very natuya, with an outstretched arm, and with a great awe, with signs and with wonders. Right? This is all what you're saying, right? The owner of the fruit, this is what he's verbalizing when he's giving the fruit to the Kohen in Jerusalem. Or actually, it's outside of Jerusalem. We just learned, we learned this a while back in Rambam. Number 9, then he brought us to this place. And he gave us this land. Who's he? With a capital H, God. He gave it to us, a land that is a land of milk and honey. Rashi has entered this place of the base of Migdash. Interesting. To the temple, it means to this place, right? Because that's where you're going now, specifically, and not to the land of Israel in general, because V'yitin lanu es ha'aretz kimashmai, which means, as it means literally, the land. Right, so there's the place where I am now, this place, which is temple, right? V'yitin lanu es ha'aretz, and he gave us the land, this land. Okay, V'ata, number 10, and now. Behold, behold, I have brought the first of the fruits of the land, Hashem nasata li, Hashem, that you, Hashem, gave to me. Again, oh my gosh. It's like, I think the 4th time today. That God is saying the land that I gave you. Repeating and repeating and repeating. And you shall place it, put it down before Hashem and you should prostrate yourself before Hashem your God. Rashi, well, what does it mean? Well, where are you leaving it? Yeah, you're placing it. Not very clear where. This tells us that he takes it after waving it by the Kohen. And he holds it in his hand while he recites and then waves it again. I don't know how he gets that exactly. Let's see. Places of the basket. The Kohen, because we already said in verse 4, if you recall, that the Kohen places it by the altar, right? We already said that. So what does it mean over here? So he places it again. So he did a waving with the Kohen did, right, with the owner, took the basket, placed it by the altar, gave it back to him, then he put it back to him, wave it, and then he makes this statement. Right? Or after finishing it, then he waves it again. V'samta v'samachta v'chol hatov, and you should rejoice in all of the good. Asher nasan l'cha Hashem elokecha, that Hashem your God has given to you, u'leveisecha, and to your family, to your household rather. Ata, you, v'alevi, and the Levite, v'ager, and the stranger, Asher b'kirbecha, that is amongst you. Rashi in 11. Our last verse for today. Yeah. Samachta b'chol ha'tov, and rejoice in all the goodness. Mikan amru, from here we learn on this verse. Ein karav b'mikra bikurim. There was not to recite over the bikurim first fruits. Elav izman simcha, in a time of rejoicing. In other words, the samachta b'chol ha'tov. It means in a time where there is celebration. That's when you got to be when you are joyous, right? When is that? Means from Shavuos until Sukkot. Why? Because the person gathers his produce and his fruits, his wine and his oil. But from Sukkot onward, maybe he can bring first fruits, but he doesn't recite, right? Because that's not a time of joyousness, right? Till then, is that because by Sukkot you brought it into your house already, right? Whatever is on the field now it's coming the fall, so you've already reaped everything. All right. Next Rashi, Atabel Levi, you and the Levite. Levi the Levite too. Chayav Bikurim is also obligated in bringing Bikurim. Not to if he plants a crop, in their cities. And the convert who's in your midst, maybe also brings Ve'inakeda, but does not recite Shein and Yochel Leimar, because he can't say La Baisena to our forefathers. Hmm. It says the explanation is because there was no need to say the convert, because the convert has to fulfill mitzvahs just like anybody else. So then why does he bring it here?
Yeah, because he has no forefathers, he has no Jewish.
No, because it's because he doesn't have the forefathers, so therefore he's excluded from that reading. Has to bring, but not with that reading.
What happens to the first generation children of two converts who get married and have children? Because the children of those converts really and truly don't have forefathers as well. Would they be able to recite the blessing of the forefathers?
Good question. Would seem not because, but the grandchildren,
But the grandchildren,
yes, the grandchildren, yes, but not the children, seemingly.
of two converts.
Right. Seemingly. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it would seem. Okay. Excellent. Maybe let's just take a moment over here. See that the Sichas. The Rebbe makes a big thing. Makes a big thing about when you come to the land, right? The whole idea here is about Thanksgiving, right? But whose Thanksgiving is it? My personal Thanksgiving, because it's my personal crop that I'm bringing, right? You've got yours and you got to do your own, right? Separately, right? So why do you have to wait till everybody gets a portion of the land? If I got, it took 7 years to a portion of the land. So let's say I got in the first year and you got in the 7th year. I have to wait until you got your land,
Yes.
right? The verse is saying that. No, but again, the logic behind it is the logic doesn't make sense. If the whole idea is my Thanksgiving What's it got to do with you? So I should immediately, when I got my land, right, to be obligated to be thankful to Hashem for the bounty that he gave to me. What's it got to do with you that you got your land?
Yeah, but the brother who has gotten his land, which might feel, sort of.
So the Rebbe says it the other way around. The other way around. How could I be truly happy and full of thanksgiving if you don't have? The other way around. Okay. Right, because it's about me. No, it's about me that I should be thankful. How could I be thankful to God for what I have if you don't have? If you don't have.
It's really all of us.
So all of us have to have that I as an individual could be happy with what I have. Whoa, that's a very powerful. This is so powerful. In other words, it's about my joy that I am celebrating, right? The whole idea here is Thanksgiving, and that you should be tzamachta lifnei Hashem Elokecha, that you have to be b'simcha, rejoice before Hashem, right? In a time of rejoicing. So how can I rejoice? In others, it's one thing to feel your pain. Someone else has pain. God forbid someone else loses a loved one. So we say, Hashem should comfort you amongst the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem, because we're all mourners. Meaning we're all mourners, right? That's much easier to feel someone else's pain because we all know what pain is. But right, we can share pain, but you don't share joy. If I'm marrying off my daughter, say someone will say Mazel Tov for marrying you, for your simcha. It's not their simcha. They're saying no, it's your simcha. That's a much harder, but a much more refinement in an individual to feel that your joy is my joy. Your pain I can feel because we know what pain is, but your joy is your joy. Not my joy. No. It is my joy. That's a much more powerful statement and a much more sense of unity and connectiveness that we have to each other.
That is supposed to be one of the Shabbat sort of too.
Good, but this is bringing it to a different understanding of what that means. Yeah, you're right. When I have a pain in my leg, so my whole body is, feels it, right? My whole body is affected by it, right? But that's pain, not joy. Different, right? Pain. That's the point I'm making. That's the point the verse is making here, right? Pain is much more. I can, again, Amalkim Yenachem Eschem, and what we say in comforting a mourner is that we're all mourners because we all can feel the loss of someone, right? We all feel. Every time I see, God forbid, an IDF soldier, I read the name, I look at the picture. Yeah, we feel the pain. But if they got married, I'm happy, but it's their joy, not my joy. It's right, right. That's a harder thing to come to. Anyway, interesting to learn from the parsha. All right, folks. We'll see you shortly. Bye.